Bambos. The me to
Monday,
you.
bloody Monday.
That's Sunday, not Monday.
Oh, yeah, but it's Monday.
Do you find me any more attractive today than yesterday?
Very. Andy and his wife came for dinner at my house,
Yes, we did.
and no one got food poisoned, which
Nope.
goes to say that I am a skillful cook.
Mhm.
Today, we have
Today.
a very interesting episode, don't we, Andy Shalef?
Yes, we did, Bambos, Charles Demetriou.
And what is that show, Mr. Shalef?
We have ours and some of yours most embarrassing moments. The most embarrassing moments that we've ever encountered in our entire lives.
And after like 6 posts, only 4 people stepped forward.
In like 4 weeks. 4 weeks, like, please. But I salvaged something. So I've got something. But we're going to do the most embarrassing moments, and we are going to do that on
So Much More.
I hate this so much more. I said that, and now I regret having never said that.
You have to find a new catchy line. A wonderful
chaos. Wow. I'm laughing at something. First of all, I'm zipping up. I feel like I need to be zipped. Do you notice something special about me, Bambos?
Your hair is very well brushed.
I got a haircut today.
Again?
What do you mean again? I haven't had a haircut in 4 months.
All right.
This is my first.
It's really tidy.
I actually learned a lot about my hair. I spoke to the hairdresser, and he explained to me how my hair, it has a colic back here. I don't know if you know what a colic is, but it's kind of where the hair grows in weird directions.
Yeah.
And it goes out in a circle. So this part of my hair,
and next,
it always presses forward. For years, I never understood. And it's because the circle of the hair pushes out on that side, Bambos. Don't you find these topics fascinating?
No.
Okay.
I wish I could pretend. I was going to say that today we're not wearing hats.
Yeah. Men without hats.
Do you know why?
Because I got a haircut. I don't know why you aren't.
Oh, because it was sunny weather. I wanted to get a nice.
Oh, nice.
No, just breeze through my head.
It was a beautiful day in Amsterdam, and it is still.
It is.
I went and got a wonton soup and sat at Newmarkt, and just took in the sun in the square at Newmarkt.
Nice.
Yeah.
So this is a subject today that really surprises me.
Yeah.
Because of the amount of response we had.
Yeah. I'd learned so much from this episode before we even went on. Like, that's what fascinated me about this. And I've learned several lessons. Every time I've wanted to create a participatory episode, it fails.
We have to go on the streets, Andy.
I know. Do you remember the last time we did a participatory one like this? Do you remember what it was? When I remind you of it, it's one we didn't convert into a podcast. That's how bad it was.
Oh, which one was it?
You don't know?
I forgot.
Dreams.
Oh,
remember? I wanted people to share their dreams on the show. Like, please just share your dream. Not your dream, life dreams, like your dreams when you're sleeping. Like, what are the most fascinating dreams you have? And basically, we had very few
worst
people
episode ever.
It was pretty bad.
But no worries, guys. We're going to save this one because
yes.
Even though we only have 4 people that responded, me and him are shameless.
Yes. We could just between the two of us, we could keep the hour going. I even had some episodes last week that were worth the embarrassing moments. I can tell you that.
Great.
So yeah, I'd like to phrase a little bit, like we're going to go into this, but I'd also like to share some of the things that I learned in this week because of the show.
Yeah.
And one of the things I learned, which is fascinating, is that people have an association. If they're going to share an embarrassing moment, then it still has to be embarrassing for them. And let me qualify what I just said. I had an embarrassing moment when I was 10 years old. Now I'm 40 years old. I'm not going to share the embarrassing moment from 10 because I'm no longer embarrassed about it. So that's what I saw over and over again. People looked at the embarrassment through the lens of where they now were, as opposed to saying, oh, yeah, when I was 10, that was really embarrassing.
To what degree is that conclusion a projection of yours or an actual fact?
Oh, it's all projection.
Okay.
But but I also had two people say that to me as well.
Okay.
So so yeah, I'm more than generalizing. But when I said, "Hey, can you share your embarrassing moment?" Three people said it to me. So actually, it's not just a projection. Actually, it's the feedback that I got was, Andy, these things happen to me, but I can't say that I find them embarrassing now.
Mm.
Like a mutual friend we have, David Kaiser. He shared a nice story with me. He was in Mexico.
Oh, are you going to expose him? Or?
Yeah, of course I'm going to
Okay,
expose him.
go on.
He's in Mexico, and I think it was Mexico.
Was it with a woman?
He was with many, many people. It wasn't just a single woman. He's always in trouble because everyone's in love with him because he's so gorgeous.
He's like a Greek god.
So
he's not Greek.
So he goes in with three guys. They all go skinny dipping, and then somebody hides their underwear. So now they're on a beach full of hundreds of people, and they have none of their clothes. So now he has to go into the bar area where everyone is there with his hand over his genitals to the bar because that's where his clothes are, and he needs to get his clothes back again. So when he shared that story with me, I'm sure at the time it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And now he's rationalized it in his brain. So now it's a funny story. So when I said, "Are you willing to share that story?" he said, "Well, it's changed for me now. It's no longer embarrassing."
Mm.
But so I laughed, said, "But can you share it when it was embarrassing?" And then that was the discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. What else did you learn, Andy?
That there was more vulnerability in it than I expected. You know, you and I are pretty shameless, like we said in the beginning. Like we can comfortably share what we've done or what we think is crazy. Like we celebrate kind of the more absurd it is. It's like there's a humility and love we have for that stupid part of us and our histories.
Yeah.
Like it's like it's like a little brother that you love him for being, you know, who he is. And yeah, he did some stupid stuff.
It's like what makes us human.
Yeah, exactly. But I noticed that others had a really hard time loving that part of themselves.
Yeah.
So I think a great thing which I would love to do is I'd love to start the show with a great example of someone sharing that for us, and just to give a vibe of what I'm talking about. Because what I also thought was nice was that we also saw that, and I'll put it on right now, that some people shared how it was. So I'm going to just share one of those scenes from one of our favorite viewers, Bolalong, who really shared with us kind of a little bit of the intimacy of what it meant for him. So we'll just play his video right now, and just so you hear it.
This is a very difficult video to do because it's embarrassing and I'm ashamed, you know. And I was looking for tools to try to change my voice so that people should not hear it, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Burla.
Thank you, Bolalong. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what that's what I saw come up for what Bolalong just put into words as what I felt came up for a lot of people there as I asked. I asked 30 people to leave messages. I asked, you know, and I even wrote specifically, I ask you 30 because I believe you're just crazy enough to do this.
Where are they? Is Tarantino going to make a movie out of it? The Crazy 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also saw that specifically. That's what came up when I was asking people, that there was still a kind of, oh, I can't share that part of me, as if it's, even though it might be in the past, I could see almost that they held their breath at the idea of sharing it, like dreading it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
And I felt surprised there, and also like, wow, I didn't realize that it was such a big ask.
Yeah.
And it was a great learning for me to see that, in fact, it was.
Yeah. It was a big ask, bigger than I expected. For those that may want to join to share, you can join us live.
Click on that link. It's in the comments also.
Yes, we'll put it in the comments. If you'd like to, you can join us live to share that story, whatever that story might be. If you forgot to tell us your story, then you can actually do that live as well.
And you can do it Bullang style, and you can talk like this.
Yes. Yeah. So that was one of the big things that came up for me. But I also started realizing that there was shame. There's embarrassment and shame that we've all shared, and I saw that in a few of the stories that came back to me.
Like what?
Like email shame. Like I have had those times when I've done a reply all and I only wanted to reply to a single individual. And
don't tell anyone else.
and then obviously said things that I would thought, oh no, that just, oh my God, what do I do now? And you know, we've all done that. So I believe this is going to be a really exciting show because we see our dear friend, Chris Garrell is going to be joining us to share. At least I think he's going to share one of his most embarrassing moments.
I didn't think you're going to call me on camera.
Oh, how else are we going to bring you on?
I thought I was going to make a little comment in the side chat.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we can put you off if you want.
No, it's just most embarrassing moment would be calling, being put in on camera, without any rehearsal or any idea what I'm going to say, right?
Oh, nice to see your face.
And nice to see you too. Yeah, it was great to follow you up the coastline and see all the nature that was out there in full force.
It was really fantastic.
Yeah.
And Bambos and I had one of our funnest days we've ever had together. He said his stomach hurt from laughing so long.
And I don't remember what we're laughing about, but we just laughed.
It was beautiful. So did you come on with knowing that you had a story to tell, or were you going to spontaneously, or were you just coming on say hello?
I was coming on to listen and join the conversation at some point. I have so many embarrassing moments.
Help me understand. I want to ask you, when you look at an embarrassing moment now, do you feel like it's still embarrassing for you, or do you say, oh no, at that time in my life it was embarrassing and now I kind of love it and think it's kind of funny? Or how is it for you?
I think there's some of both. I mean, there are some that I look at and they're just cringeworthy, and it's like, not really fully preparing for a presentation that because I didn't know the gravity of the situation, and so I prepared a couple notes that I would have said, but had I known that I was right before the keynote and this was a big window of opportunity, I would have planned it entirely different. So I was kind of embarrassed, when it's a story about I was consulting in South Africa, there's kind of two stories in one. One was that I had a class. I was teaching a class for a week on behavioral styles and on how to, the challenge at the time. This was back in the mid '90s, right after apartheid had ended, and the companies were mainstreaming, Black leaders who had not been allowed into leadership because they would be tested. In order to be a manager, you'd have to be tested, and the testing was written, and Yoruba and Swahili are verbal languages. They're spoken languages, not written. So they always tested as illiterate. And so we were teaching a behavioral assessment style to do that. And so in my class was the vice president of human resources of this one company and the senior vice president, the person in charge of it all. And the vice president was an Afrikaans woman who was just, like all over the place. The senior vice president was a black African who sat with her hands folded on her desk and never said anything. She just paid attention. And so I said to my host after a couple of days, how is it that energetic spark plug reports to this quiet person? He said, oh, you don't understand. That's Ubuntu. She's making you a good teacher by being a good student, So that's part of it. So then we get to the 2 weeks, end of 2 weeks of consulting there, and there's this big conference, and I was asked to say a few words. And had I known that it was the type of conference that it was, like I said, I would have prepared better. I just felt like I was underprepared. So I did a shorter speech than I should have done, blah, blah, blah. Then the next speaker is the EVP, the senior vice president. And this woman who had sat for 2 weeks in my class with her hands folded on the desk gets up and blew the room away. I mean, just what a powerhouse. What incredible. And my host turns to me and he says, no, you be the student and she's the teacher. So that was like, pow. And so my lesson of Ubuntu and humility were sandwiched together.
That is beautiful. Yeah, so I was, as I was thinking through this show, there were categories of embarrassment, and one of the categories that I had, and I believe I called it in my public embarrassments. Mm-hmm. So when we put ourselves in front of audiences and screwed up.
Yeah, that was that one.
That was that one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I would say that it's interesting because like I was trying to work through my own public embarrassment on this one. And there were a few. I think I mentioned one on the show when I was learning to play the saxophone and I wasn't that good. And a friend asked me to play at his wedding reception. And I played like the worst rendition of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And then like he could not have been like, and he was straight faced. He was honest. And I went back and sat down in my seat. And then, like, without skipping a beat, he said to me, Andy, I probably shouldn't have asked you to do that. And still today we laugh at how absurd it was.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, that was the public embarrassment. Right. And I think that's a hard one, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that one was just one that lives on. In retrospect, I go like, damn, what a missed opportunity. And I'm a public speaker, I am normally, quite comfortable and at ease. And I didn't understand the context of what I was, should be preparing for. Mm. And that just, it is what it is.
Well, Bola Long, who is, of course, South African, shares that, yes, Ubuntu is difficult to understand by people from outside our culture. So
yes. And it was, it's so, Bola Long, it's so complex and so overarching so many things that it really, my teacher, my host there was trying to teach me. He says, you're no better than the grass is because someday you'll feed the grass.
Oh, wow.
So that's part of Ubuntu. It's like we're all interconnected is another part.
Yeah.
And so it was a great bunch of lessons.
Mm. Bambos, for you, is there in the degree of public embarrassment, is there anything you recall from your own life in that area?
Oh God. There was two. One is more safe, but I felt my body going a bit nervous when I thought about it. After my drug addiction, somehow by luck or by being whatever, I became like a supervisor for a project in this company, and the client was Microsoft. So I was like a project leader. And the person giving the presentation was sick, and they're like, "Oh, Bambo, you do it." And I was like I knew the project like inside out, but when I had to do the presentation, I remember I had to wear a shirt and I wasn't comfortable. I was always wearing ripped jeans. And so all of a sudden I'm giving this presentation and I'm reading everything off the board and there's nothing of myself going in. And I remember I was going red. I lost my voice. They gave me water. It was the worst hour of my life.
So, I have another
Yeah.
one. I was asked to do some consulting in Finland. And by the way, don't go to Finland in February. It's just not a pretty place. So I get there and you know, I'm going to be asked to speak on television, and I said, you know, I only know English. I don't know any Finnish. It's a very difficult language to learn. And my host said, what do you call a person who speaks many languages? And I said, multilingual. And he said, what do you call a person who speaks 2 languages? And I said, bilingual. He says, what's a person who speaks only 1 language? I go, monolingo? What? He said, no, American. So the next day, first thing in the morning, I'm still jet lagged and everything, and I'm on their like Good Morning Finland show or whatever, and they're asking me like, how do you solve the unemployment problem? At the time, it was like something like 20% unemployment in Finland, and I'm trying to answer the best I can and stuff, and they're translating everything into Finnish, and it's one of those moments where you're thinking like, what are they really saying? Are they? It's like, this bozo is telling us, you know, are they editing what I'm saying? Or are they actually saying what I'm saying? And you don't know because it doesn't sound like any other language that I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So I was hoping they were translating.
Yes. I had a funny incident that happened when I was working in Vienna where
Why are you looking at me?
where I was the assistant marketing manager of this company, and the marketing manager had basically found another job, and the CEO found out about that right before we were doing a big launch in this huge auditorium with a few hundred people from around the world that have been invited there. So he says, "You're not going on. Andy, you're taking his place." So this is 10 minutes before we go live. Everyone is flown over. I'm sitting there. Now, it was a big deal. We had simultaneous translators in boxes, and I was supposed to do the translating for the people into English. So I understood enough German. So then I'm supposed to do the So now I've got to find somebody else to get in this box who can translate and do this. So then I find someone who can't really translate. So they go into the box. Everyone is wearing their earphones. Half the public doesn't understand what's going on. And he starts speaking, and he's just like making stuff up because it has nothing to do. And then I'm not I speak all over the place. So it's not like I make his life any easier. But then the best moment comes. And then, so there's all of this quiet because he stopped translating. He doesn't know what to do anymore. And everyone in the audience starts looking at the translator booth to sort of, because they think that there's a technical difficulty, not realizing he just stopped translating. And then he just says, well, everyone has their headphones on. Fuck this. And then he puts the mic and leaves the box. And you're going to love this, who that was, Bambos. It was Franz Baumeister, a friend of ours. He says, fuck this. All these people fly from over the world. And that's how it was.
Just hangs up on him. Yeah.
Yeah, that was not a nice moment.
Andy outed you. Good.
Yes. But I mean, I think in a way that was one of the worst experiences of my life at that time. And now, of course, with time, I can laugh at it. And I think I mentioned, I don't know if you saw, but on the show, we had a really hard time getting people to come on to share their stories because there was some degree of shame. Like they didn't just celebrate their embarrassment. There was a shame and they didn't feel comfortable with that. That's what we were seeing.
So Chris, having said that, what is your most embarrassing sexual experience?
Are we live?
Yes, we are live.
Is your wife listening?
She has a busy day, so I'm hoping she's not. What is my most embarrassing sexual moment?
Don't think. Just allow the words to unfold.
Listen,
Well,
he's
the one
let
that-
him take responsibility. I don't want to put him out in a bad situation here.
I just you know, like at the risk of like, you know, hoping that there's nobody that would ever be a client of mine on here, long ago and far away, and I'm not proud of this. Yeah.
Oh, then we don't do that.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to do it, Bambos. That's what I was a
Okay.
bit concerned
All right.
about.
Good.
So I can talk about mine because I have
Yeah.
no shame. So so I was in a 5-year relationship where it was my sister. I loved her, but she was my sister. So we had no sex life.
Yeah.
So, and then I was like, what am I doing? We're separating. We didn't know how to separate. So we're still together in that uncomfortable time where we haven't gotten a new place. So we're not having sex for long periods. And I'm like, I'm going to go back into the world. I've got to like learn how to use condoms again. Like I'm going to like figure this stuff out. So then she goes out and then I put on a condom and I masturbate just to sort of get used to that worldly. But now I've got this condom. I can't flush it down the toilet. I can't toss it out in the, you know, in the trash. So I'm like, okay, I got to do something with this quickly. So like I bowl it up and then I think I hide it really well in a side thing in the hallway, which you can't see. Now she comes home and she finds the damn thing. So now I've been accused of cheating in the half an hour that she went away. How could I?
Right, right.
And the next thing I know, I'm being thrown out of the house. And
Well,
years later, still being asked the question, how did you know, who were you with in that half an hour? Like there's no trust that anyone would be crazy enough to actually do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have sleep problems and so you know, my doctor prescribed, and I don't remember the name of it. It starts with an A. This drug that knocks you out, but has bizarre psychological effects. And I mean, when I mention the name of the drug to friends of mine, they go like, "Oh yeah, I was sending hate mail to my clients in the middle of the night, you know, and not knowing it." You know, one of them said, "I woke up behind the wheel of my car, you know, downtown. I have no idea how I got there." You know, it's like really bizarre things happen. For me, what happened was you know, it makes you have also weird sexual things, you know. So I don't look at porn because my wife and I run an early childhood education center. So I don't want anything touching my computer that could possibly be traced, or what if it actually has a link to something else, or, you know, child pornography, so I don't touch it or anything. So apparently I take this drug. It's like the first night I'm taking it, and I start surfing porn in my sleep. And so I fall asleep. You know, I am asleep, whatever. The iPad's still open on my chest, laying there, and my wife comes into the room and goes like, "What the?" It's like, I didn't do it.
My subconscious
But you did. There must be something in you that's wrong. I was like,
exactly. There's something you're suppressing if that's where you go under a drug. That's where you
go when you're drugged. Exactly. That's the whole thing. I got hung for that, you know. And you know, that went on the list. You know what the list is, right?
No, what's the list?
Oh, well, Ronnie has 2 lists. You know, there's one that's very short, and it's all the great things that you've done.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's a longer list of your fuck ups. You know, like things that you did that were really, you shouldn't have done that, you know, like, and that goes on the list. And the list, the big list only comes out in war, you know, like when you're having an argument, like all of a sudden, then remember when you were surfing porn, you know? And,
no, it only happens when I'm driving and I say, I got this.
I got this.
That is Bambos. I know you've got hundreds of sex stories, so you asked us the question, but you're the one who's got a plethora. Like, yeah, right. You've got a treasure.
Those are my only 2. The other one I won't mention.
I think the funniest was my first time. The funniest and most awkward, embarrassing, like, Like you wouldn't want me inside you.
I do remember a first time.
So what happened was, I'm in a bar, 15 years old, and I'm trying to. I remember the pickup line from a movie, and I saw this beautiful Russian girl who was 3 years older than me at the bar with her friends, all dressed up, and this snotty little thing goes up to her like, "I want to lick you from top to bottom like lollipop," and she says, "Okay." And that's when my heart started pounding, like, oh, now I'm in trouble. So she gets up, she says, do you have a car? And back then, this was the time when my dad left, and my mom couldn't drive, so I took the car without a license.
With that license, you're 15, right?
Yes.
I had a Mazda 626, and I drive her to her place, and all of a sudden we're on her bed, we're kissing. It was my first time. I don't even, first time kissing, trying to figure it out, not even owning that it's my first time of anything. And this is like a woman to me.
Yeah, right.
So she goes to the bathroom to change and something more sensual. I quickly take off my clothes, I jump under the bed sheets, and I'm like, and she comes in the bed, and we continue. And at some point I'm like, should I take off my socks? She's like, no, you're good. She gave me a condom. I didn't know what to do with it. Like there was zero sex education. In the end, she ended up putting it on me. We lasted maybe a minute, and then I got out of the bed. It was really bad. I got out of the bed. I started putting my clothes on. She says, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "My mom's going to be looking for me." And I came back the next day with a bunch of flowers, and then we dated for a year.
Oh, wow.
I was going to say, in all the rest of your life.
God knows why, but we went out for a year, and she told me later, "Was that your first time?" And I was like, "No." So I never owned it.
And all the rest of your life, you've been making up for that.
Woo. It's following a little bit on your thing, unless Chris, you had something to add to there.
No.
So when I was in my 30s, just having broken up with this woman that I mentioned a few moments ago.
Is it sexual?
It is sexual.
Oh, good.
So now I'm at a bar, and I've never really had a one night stand. Like it's always been, raised Catholic, having all of the. So then I'm sort of at a bar, and then there's a woman there, and we sort of I'm like, oh, like, would you like to come home with me? But like coming home with me isn't like like clarity in my head that we're gonna do anything. It's more like, oh, we're just going. It happens to be 12 at night, and now you're just gonna come back to my place, right? So then we come back, and I'm sort of like, I don't really know what to do at this moment, because I'm new to this thing. We just come in the house, so I'm looking and thinking, so what do we do? And I didn't know how to make a move, so I'm like, well, why not watch Cinema Paradiso?
What's that?
It is like the saddest, longest movie you have ever seen. It's like a 3-hour marathon of like tears. It's childhood pain. It's like, I'll cry every time I see it. So now I'm sitting, it's now probably 1 when we put it on. So by the time it's over, it's 4 in the morning. And it was just really a horrendous effort at trying to do a one night stand. Yes.
And Borderline says, is there a difference between funny moment and an embarrassing one? You're killing me with laughter.
I think the answer to that is what you attach to it, right?
Yes, it's your choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can choose to make it like an embarrassing moment.
I would say, Borderline, as I was sharing my story, I felt that little boy again. And I could tune into the edginess of sharing that. And I'm like, oh God, and I'm sharing this live. And I've got also clients that watch these shows like, oh, fuck. 2 more embarrassing things that I've done recent. One very recent one I posted on And It's Fucking Great group. So I practice seed retention as a lifestyle. And for those of you who don't know, look up seed retention tantra, blah, blah, blah. And that means it kind of runs my life. There's things that I won't do in my life in order to maintain that. So I'll never eat after 5 p.m. because if there's food in my stomach, I might overheat up. It might push in my organs, and then I ejaculate in my sleep. Or not to drink a lot of water after 5 o'clock again. Like really keep it low key. Meditating. So there was one evening I was tired. I ate something, go to bed, woke up, ejaculated like how many months of seed retention, and I saw it completely ruins my well-being. It's like you don't eat sugar for half a year. You eat sugar, you get a dip. And I noticed I woke up with all this shame, and I wanted to hide it. And I was like, I don't want to hide this. This is something that I've been struggling with for many years. Like it happens at least 3 times a year, and it really gets me. And I think it's time to just share it in this fucking great group, because in a way, I don't want to be in the shadows with this either. And it was really choking me. So I made the post, and I don't even want to see what people are gonna be commenting, but a client of mine saw it, and she really said something like, "Get over it, dude. Like it just needed to come
Normal.
out." So there's always the edginess of when you share things like that there's people in your life that will see it, and so yeah.
So I'd love to introduce another category. By the way, Chris, I don't know if it's great for you to stay. I love having you, but
Right.
no. Are you okay to stay? I just want to check.
I can stay. Yeah.
Okay, great.
And meanwhile,
welcome.
if anyone is dying to join, you can still click on the
You
link.
can
We
still
can have
Yeah,
we
really.
can have multiple people. Bulelang, jump
Yes,
on.
yeah, exactly. He may have thought of one in the meantime. So there's another category of embarrassment that someone, a viewer, sent in. And I'm going to play that one, and then we can discuss a little bit of our connection to that embarrassment, because I think it's always fun to see somebody else's
Suffering.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, I've seen my own suffering in it.
Okay, my most embarrassing moment. The first I had to think about is I step out of the train after work, and a guy next to me, a blind guy, he asked me if I would guide him through the station. And I said yes, and I give him my arm, he grabs my arm, and we start walking, and within 2 steps, he hits his head to a sign. That was not nice. He was very angry, and I was so ashamed. I couldn't tell people for a few years, so okay.
Oh,
And she laughs.
oh my.
Love it.
Yeah. That's another category of embarrassing shame that I also realized. And for me, I don't know for you, I remember as a kid, we're bringing Bola Long on as well. Hello, Bola Long. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, am I live?
Yes,
you
you
are.
are. Fix your
You're
hair,
alive.
Bola Long.
You're alive. You're alive.
Oh, you took me by surprise.
I'm gonna just share a story, and then I'll bring you on, because I hope you have a story. When I was in high school, I volunteered to help at a blind swim meet. So you're sitting there, and I think it's really great as a high schooler. You're trying to understand the limitations. So there's I'm trying to help this blind child learn how to swim, and in these different. So one of the strokes is the backstroke, and for the life of me, I can't figure out how to explain how to do a backstroke to a blind person. So and then there's somebody else doing it right next to us, and then on instinct they say, just look at him, thinking like, oh, I found a way to teach him, just look at him. It was just the humiliation of it. Yeah. So Bola Long, you joined us. Did you join to say hello, or did you find a story in your heart to share with us?
No, I joined because Bambo said I must join.
Beautiful.
And you always do what Bumbo says.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
Bulelang.
my video was interrupted that day, and it posted itself before I completed it.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Because it was the perfect video.
let me complete it then.
Please.
what happened? It was in my mid-20s. Then there's this guy that I haven't seen for long. Then he came to Cape Town. Then we had to make a meetup. Then he said, "No, we are going to paint the city red." Then there was a lot of drinking, going to the bus, and at one time I felt that, gee, now I'm not able to go home being like this because I was driving. Said, what do I do? Then I just went into the car and parked in the parking lot, slept in the car. As I was sleeping, then I hear knock on the window. Wake up, I look. It's a police person. So, sir, it is dangerous where you are. Why are you staying here in the car? I said, now I wanted a driver to take me home because I can't drive. I'm so drunk. And the police actually drove me home, left me home. Yeah, but drinking that much, that was so embarrassing. When you look at the road, he says, no, this won't work. Yeah, that's the story. And yeah, I don't like it because I don't like to be knocked out. I don't like having those blackouts. So that's really embarrassing.
Yeah. I think the drinking or taking a drug where you behave in ways that you don't control, like that's really not comfortable.
Yeah.
Yes, because you lose control. You don't know what is happening. And you feel out of control.
Yeah.
So that's when I felt the issue of being out of control. If you have nobody to be with you, to take care of you, then you're fucked up.
And I think if you're in like, so I imagine for you, Bambos.
I have been so blacked out from everything that I took that sometimes people would tell me, you were passed out next to vomit on the pavement in the red light district, outside some club. And so when people would say that to me, like, wow, I have vague memories of that. Or once I came out of a club, it was completely off my head, the expression, and I saw a beautiful woman. I went to say hello to her and I fell in the water. And
you never told me this.
And as I'm in the water, I was trying to figure out where I was upside down, so I was looking down and the light. So I came up and I was a bad swimmer, and when I came out, they wouldn't let me in the club because my keys, my wallet, everything was in the club.
Oh,
so
my.
I walked home. It was a long walk, and I was pretty new. I was pretty new to Amsterdam. I was 21 years old, and I'm wet. It's winter, and I'm sitting outside my apartment waiting for my roommate, who apparently got lucky that evening and didn't come back home until lunchtime. And back then, it wasn't an issue for me to sleep outside the door. Like now, if
Really?
I think
this was supposed to be titled "Funny Moments."
embarrassing
Because
moments.
really,
Yeah.
I've been laughing so much. My chest is painful now.
but that's the thing, Bulalang. When something is so real and ridiculous, I'm sure we can all find, like you shared your story, I can find 100 moments like that.
Well, isn't that true of comedy though? I mean, when you look at some comedians, a lot of what they do for routine is embarrassing, what would be normally embarrassing moments, but they use it as humor. To point to the funny side of things. And
there was I was when I was living in Vienna.
Everything happened in Vienna.
Yeah, everything happened in Vienna. After Vienna, life got normal.
After Rani, he became normal.
I'm in an elevator. This isn't a sex story. So this is another category of embarrassment. I think everyone can identify. We all have our email embarrassment, but I think there's that other embarrassment that's like I think I know you, or you think you know me, and we don't really know where we know each other from.
Mhm.
So,
Oh, yes.
there was this moment when I'm in an elevator in Austria, and it's going up, and this person gets in, and I know that they know me. And I'm like, oh, I'm so embarrassed right now because I don't know who they are, but I know, and they're looking at me, and I'm thinking to myself, God, they know who. Oh, shit! And now they know me, but I can't. What am I supposed to like? What I don't know what to say. I'm so embarrassed because at that point I was traveling a lot, doing a lot of these road show things. So I think I apologized to him and said, "Listen, I know we know each other from somewhere, but I'm not exactly sure where." And then the guy gets off the elevator, and just, we didn't interact. And then that night I see him on TV because he's like the most famous star in Germany for the type of singing. So I'm apologizing to him for not knowing me. And then I see him on the TV and
So you know him from TV, maybe.
Yeah,
right.
of course. I recognized him from TV, but I just assumed that it must be someone from the trade shows or from business. I mean, I couldn't imagine that I'm in the elevator with the famous pop singer of Austria. It was very funny. Yeah, but I think that happens a lot. Like someone recognizes someone or thinks they recognize them, and then makes those sort of things. Those are often one of those embarrassing moments I found.
Love it.
No, it happens to me. And the wife says, what I say to a person, I know you from somewhere. I says, no, you like to tell everybody that you know them. What's wrong?
It feels like we're having a Zoom call.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
And
right.
speaking of Zoom calls, like I saw a beautiful category of videos, which would be Zoom call embarrassing moments. And I know that we've never done this on the show. It'll be edited out for the podcast, but I thought it would be great to show a collection of very embarrassing Zoom call moments.
Go on.
And it's just 2:30. I don't know if you guys are okay with that. Just we'll watch a collection of those. Is that
That'd be fun.
is
That'd
that
be fun?
Okay, so I'd love to do that for us right now. I have to find the I thought I set it up, but let me see if I have or not, because
Well, while you're doing that, can I
go, please.
Roll along reminds me of another South African story. I'm a rugby player and played for many years, and so when I was in South Africa, it was 1995. It was the year after the day I won the World Cup, and so my host said to me, is there anything I can get for you, because for doing all this work? And I said, oh man, I would love a Springbok jersey. And so he went to the team and he got a team jersey, unnumbered, but he got a team jersey, and I was so proud of it that the next day I had originally had an appointment to see Mandela. I wanted to get an introduction to Mandela, but he was sick, and so he wasn't taking any visitors. So we were in Pretoria walking around the garden, and this woman comes up to me and she berates me up one side, down the other. You're not one of us. You're not one of these. Because these people are all national heroes because they had just won the World Cup, and I was not one of those people. And how dare I wear a Springbok jersey, in public places.
And how does she know that you are not a South African?
Because I don't look like it. I mean, I don't look like any of the players. All the players were famous, celebrities. Okay. They were national heroes because that whole movement, post-apartheid, that Mandela used rugby as a way to bring the country together.
Yes, I must admit I watched rugby that time.
Yeah.
You were what?
I did get into it, watch rugby during that time.
Oh, did you?
Rugby is not my sport, and even now I don't watch it. But during that World Cup, I did watch it.
Oh, yeah,
every match.
Yeah, every match, everybody watched it.
I'm going to cut over now to our
most embarrassing
2020 moment on Zoom, because I think that Zoom has created a new category of embarrassing moments, and these are some of the ones that I just love.
When you don't realize you're on camera.
So we're just going to share those right now. Let me get the correct one on, and here we go.
That's working from home.
Carriers, so people won't be getting their medication dropped out of the sky into their mailbox just yet, but the companies do say they will scale up the program if it is successful, guys.
Very cool. We love it, Will. Thank you.
Just like the ethical standards of the profession, and in reality, I've heard that social work kind of has very high standards and like good standards in terms of things, and that oftentimes people
The one down in the corner.
don't
Hold on.
what happened?
I saw nothing.
Oh my God, Jennifer.
Obviously, and do stop me if you need to crack on. Do tell us.
What's his name?
My name is Christian.
His name's Christian. Christian.
Yes.
That's deciding where it comes up with where Mummy wants it to go.
Oh right. Where does Mummy want it to go?
I think just on that shelf is great. Thank you.
So sorry.
Already do it. Kids do it. YouTube kids do it, and the BBC are also now embracing this. Why? I apologise for my cats.
Didn't skip a beat.
Yeah, whatever. Guys, we can hear your conversation and we don't want to. So
You can go hang out with Callista like you do in class every day. I don't know about this. When did you add her on social media?
Like literally 5 years ago, Natalia, before I ever knew you'd done that.
Hey, Natalia.
Oh, I wish I never met you.
Hey, Natalia. Natalia, can you mute yourself?
Vi har ikke fått alle detaljene, så det kommer mer detaljer på det på torsdag. Og som sikrer at selskapene nå får mer tilgang til penger gjennom...
That's how it's going to Let's make sure everybody has clothes on.
Your video is on.
They don't have good regimens to keep the data to make sure that. I'm sorry. The bird just landed on his head.
It's okay. It's okay.
Sorry. Let me
All good.
start over.
All good.
Team building.
Tony!
Can you hear us?
Tony!
Oh no! Oh, we can't call him. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, working from home is a problem, yeah?
Takes a couple pictures of that.
What's up?
Tony, I can see you in here.
We can all see you.
Oh my God.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. Yes. Those were some of the funniest Zoom moments
Okay.
of 2020.
Now that I've looked at Zoom, I know that I've had embarrassing moments in Zoom, but not for me, for my wife.
Okay.
Because sometimes I forget that we are in the house and she's working and she has her colleagues on the phone there. And sometimes I fart and I just see on a look when she looks at me like that and says, because I have no problem farting around her. But now because now this business and the office is at home,
Yeah.
I forget.
So you walk around in your underwear?
I don't like wearing anything in the house.
So right now, you are naked.
That you're from the
No. I'm wearing something because I'm with people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well-
but on a warm home, what's the use of wearing something in the house?
I could not agree with you more, Bolalong, but I've got this problem is I've got a lot of mirrors in the house. And with Zoom, like it's not only if you're on the camera, but it's what's reflected in the background.
mirror.
So I was on a conversation once, and then Ronnie walks because she thinks, oh, she can walk behind, thinking no one's going to see her, not knowing that I'm standing in front of a mirror. So basically, she's now in the Zoom call with me. So yes, it is a dangerous thing, that Zoom.
Now we've got a strategic corner where we know that nobody passes behind here.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
I love
because
it.
everything is over there. So you
I
might
would
be looking for something special to come behind here where there are computers and the cameras.
So no embarrassing moments for us.
No, we're not going to see any with your wife in the background.
No.
We've got another video from Chris Palmore, who is our gratitude. He did our show on
He's
gratitude,
Facebook.
and he's on Facebook. So we'll have this one here.
Yeah.
So we'll share that one as well while we have him, since it's so beautiful and people took the time and effort to do this. So let's play.
Yes, I remember the name.
Yes, we'll play his right now.
Hosting me out here in this forum. Yeah, I can't really speak. So anyways, I couldn't really think of something very embarrassing, but I thought it'd be fun to throw a video up here just to get the ball rolling. So years ago, I was traveling out west. I was in California. I believe I was on Venice Beach, and I had my guitar with me. And I've been replaying, whenever I think of this, it replays in slow motion in my head, right? So I'm walking, I'm walking in unison. I have a heavy guitar. It's a very expensive guitar. I'm walking, right? And I see this family. There's a mom and a dad, at least I'm thinking it's mom and dad, and a small boy. And they're walking towards me. They're to my left because I'm holding the guitar case on the left with my left hand. We're walking, right? And at the very last moment, when they're right in front of me, the little boy steps over at the perfect time for my left hand to swing up the guitar case and knock him down. And I was like, just like, whoa, I just may have gave this kid a concussion or something. Like, it was very scary. I don't know if that's really embarrassing.
Oh, it is.
But I guess I was embarrassed, but man, was it surreal. And like I said, I play it back in slow motion. And I think if I was going to have if somebody was going to do a scene in my movie with me, I definitely would like to see that reenactment. So I don't know if that's embarrassing. It's probably not, but either way, as of right now, there you go, buddy.
Wow. Like that for me is like the heart of embarrassment, because like, you know how embarrassing, how I know it's embarrassing for me is because I have to laugh because it hurts so much. Like that's how I know. It's like, oh my God, that's painful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything from either of you on injuring somebody else unintentionally in your lives? No. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know if anything that no biggies for me like that.
And Bambos, haven't you caused anybody carpet bends or things like that? Do you know carpet bends?
I think embarrassing moments, if I look at them, when was this? 4 or 5 years ago. I joined a men's group, and in a way, that men's group disintegrated because I imposed myself into it in a way of how I thought it should be running. And all of a sudden, the whole group started arguing, and I ended up walking out of that men's group, and in a way, everything just went boof. And it was it's embarrassing because in a way, if I look back as to where I am today, I would have done that completely differently.
Yeah.
So it's embarrassing in a way that I did something and I wasn't very present with the consequences of my actions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Andy was right when he started the show, and he said most of the embarrassing moments, we don't remember them because they are not embarrassing to us now, because we have moved on and we have a totally different perspective of life.
Yeah.
I would say I'm still embarrassed about it because, in a way, I didn't fully take responsibility.
Yeah. I thought about that just as you said it right now. It was really a beautiful moment because I felt deep into myself how I'd feel in your shoes.
Yeah.
I think it's time to call up the individual and apologize.
Okay. No, I thought of it.
Yeah.
Another embarrassing moment. I got on a comedy show stage in Cyprus with my sister's son, with my brother, friends, childhood friends, and I didn't know that in the back of the actual nightclub there were clients of mine who I worked with when I was in Cyprus as a photographer. So I got on the stage and I shared the most awkward sexual experience I had recently with a woman that I was currently dating. And it was a really funny moment, but it also involved anal. And I mean, my sister's kids were really like, yeah. But on my way to the toilet, I saw my client with her colleagues, and they were looking at me from top to bottom like, yeah. I swear to God, there was a hole not big enough to swallow me in that moment.
Yeah.
But your sister's kids,
Huh?
Your sister's kids, how do they know women?
My sister's kids, I'm not embarrassed. They know everything about me.
But I was supposed to ask, Uncle, what is anal?
No, they're in their 20s, right? These aren't babies.
Okay.
Not babies.
They're not babies.
No, not babies.
And also the last thing I'll share, I took it too far, and this was a behavior that I had in the past. I'm at a family gathering, and my sister's daughter and her partner and his parents and everyone from their side and our side. So there's two families coming together. You know, my niece is going to get married to this guy, and the men are doing jokes, and I'm really not being entertained. So I opened my mouth and I'm like, that's not even funny, guys. Come on. So they said, they challenged me. So I shared also a real sexual embarrassing moment. My mother left the room. My mother literally left the room. So in a way, would I do that again? No.
You know, I was thinking.
You cringed.
Yeah, because it reminded me when I was a kid. So my dad, of course, was Jewish and mom was Catholic. Mom was the oldest of 12 kids. Very conservative Catholic family. Dad was only trying to provoke. That's all he did, right? So he was at the table having dinner with everybody. I'm there as well. And then you have to imagine, Bolang, you know how the Catholics are.
Yes.
That's a humorous thing to say to him, of course. That's an inside joke, people, if you didn't get it. So my dad says at the table, he says, this is one of the biggest things I've learned my whole life. Keep in mind where it's just Thanksgiving, everyone there, he says, so my first sexual experience was with a prostitute. This is how it starts. Okay. Like I can't sink under the table any deeper than the floor. And he says, so I'm 13 years old.
As a child, you don't want to hear that.
Obviously not, but
yeah.
not do I not want to hear it, but I also am conscious that there's all these Catholics at the table who that's like screaming out in a church. So he now says, you know what? When I was 13, I took the money from my bar mitzvah and I went to the prostitute, and then we went, and he says we had sex, and then after the sex I had my orgasm, and she said that's extra, and he said, the biggest lesson I learned is you need to negotiate everything before you actually commit to a relation or any partnership. So that was his big lesson, was that you have to negotiate everything. But that was one of those moments as a child that I really could not sink any deeper under the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like The show is over actually, but I have 100 dad embarrassing.
Do you share dad embarrassing? Because we don't get that much in your of your dad on the show, Bambos. Not as much as I'd like. I want one show dedicated to your dad.
He really had no shame. Like he would really like my father would,
Let me take care of the door. I'm coming.
he would like laugh at bodily sounds like farting and burping. And he would laugh, everyone would laugh, but it was really for me like, oh God, again.
So he'd laugh, and as a kid, that was you felt shameful for that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I felt a lot of that.
He's wise to turn off the camera, but we can still hear him.
Oh yeah, he didn't realize that we can still hear him. Yeah, that I lived in a lot of shame as a kid because of feeling embarrassed about what my dad was doing.
I think when we first started doing this show, Andy, there were quite a few shows in the beginning.
Yeah.
Where I felt embarrassed.
Okay.
But it was more to do with how I was showing up.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes I would even go home and I would be like vibrating, like not knowing what to do with it. But I see, of course, as we evolved, and I knew this would be the consequence that I would find peace with. But there were many shows, like if I go and look back at them, like, oh God, did I really do that?
Yeah. Yeah, there's some shows I listen back and I'm like, God, Andy, you could have said that so much simpler. Why did you make it so complicated? That's all I hear.
And what did your other voice said?
Who gives a shit? As you know, because if I cared enough about the first voice, I wouldn't be doing this show to begin with. Yeah.
So
yeah, but it takes some learning to know how to speak in public.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning you become self-conscious of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then as you do it every day, then you sort of gel into it.
Yeah.
In fact, I wish I was talking to the public on a daily basis like you do.
Yeah.
Because with me, I'm still at that stage where I'm conscious of it.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting because even you came with one of your embarrassing moments to share with us, but as you know, it was really hard to get individuals to feel comfortable with that. And it's
vulnerability.
Vulnerability is not easy to ask of people. It's really not an easy thing. So yeah, I'm continually surprised by those shows when we ask people to join us in some level of vulnerability, because it's very infrequent that people feel the comfort to just participate, right?
Even making a video. Come on, we went the extra mile, make a video.
Yeah.
Now, making a video is more difficult than just
typing.
Doing it at the spur of a moment, like in a video like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a video sort of gives you time to think about it. And you think about all those things as, no, this is not worth telling people.
Yeah. You judge. Like, the one story that we had where the woman shared the simplicity of taking a blind person by the hand and walking them right into a pole. Like that for me is just, it's so human. We've all done that. And to be able to laugh at yourself, there's some beauty in that if you don't allow that, life gets so constricted. It gets so hard to just celebrate our humanity.
I mean, there should be remorse and the celebration of it, right?
Yeah.
Or should.
Exactly.
I don't want to use the word should, but
there could be that, of course. Yeah. Well, we've come to the end of our hour. Thank you for being with us, Bolalang. It's really great to see you.
This was one of our best shows. If you didn't watch it,
it's your loss, not ours.
Don't change it to comedy, man. It's not good. It's laughing too much can kill a person.
Yeah, I know. We're going to do a comedy hour.
Bolalang, are you thinking of coming to Amsterdam?
Yes, we'd love to see you here.
When things are open, and when my bank account is good, we can come to Amsterdam.
Nice.
We look forward to it. We're going to figure out maybe a summit.
And Andy's going to walk on the coast with you for 7 days.
Oh,
I'll take that. So I would love it if for the first time in the history of this show, we went out with somebody else saying the tagline. So, bowl along. We will see you next time on
A Wonderful Cow.
Thank you.